Fire Facilities manufactures steel live fire training towers, customized to meet your training needs. Check us out at FDIC or learn more at firefacilities.com.
In firefighting and public safety, reliability is key. For over 20 years, the Fire Store has equipped first responders with trusted gear featuring brands like MSA Carnes for helmets and Seek for thermal imaging cameras. Stay prepared. Visit thefirestore.com today.
All right, we'd like to welcome everybody back to the Generation Engine podcast here with Fire Engineering. We don't have Todd this week, so it's going to be a little bit different of a setup. But we do have a guest that's close to both myself and Todd, works with us in different ways, from working together on the fire department as well as the foundation, the training nonprofit that we all sit on the board of. So Anthony Rowett, a captain in Mobile, Alabama, and I'm going to let our guest introduce himself.
This is Rico. I've been with Mobile for 7 years now. I've been in the fire service for 11. I joined Fire River when I was 16 years old. They came and responded to a call in a neighborhood of mine, and I just decided to just sit in the fire truck. Decided to see what it's like. I was playing baseball at the time, just to have a second thing to do. I graduated high school and just fell in love into the job, and here I am.
All right. Well, here you are. But so we'll build off of that a little bit with me knowing your background and how it went, because it kind of took multiple steps for you to get to where you are, from joining Foul River and being a volunteer to getting into the career service through smaller departments and moving to Mobile, moving over to the bigger department in the area while still volunteering and also working part-time for different size fire departments. That you've kind of got a feel for a little bit of every aspect of the fire service, from full-time career in small departments to full-time career in bigger departments, the part-time, the volunteer, and doing it all kind of at once. So why don't you give everyone kind of a background of how that went and the different size departments you've worked for? So I think that's really going to play into the discussion we're going to have today.
Well, here in Fire River, I have approximately 9 people here. And then
And you guys cover how much area with 9 people?
We have 35 square miles that we cover. And we're running an average about 1,000 calls a year.
Yes, you guys are stretched pretty thin on that one.
Yeah, we are. To where in Mobile, we have, 500 people. And that's a big step ahead, because, say a fire comes in, I don't know, on the volunteer side, I may have 1, 2, maybe 3. And, Mobile, we can drop 4 engines, 30 to 60 guys on a fire, which plays a major issue in my world, because I don't know who's going to respond.
Well, since I see him behind you, because you're there at the volunteer firehouse right now, I think the guy behind you probably played a big part in you getting into the fire service, because I know the story. So why don't you introduce him as well, because that plays a big part of the story of your path through the fire service.
So this is John Carrillo. He's been in the fire service for 40 years. He was in the FDNY. So he's like another father figure to me. He taught me the game. He's still teaching me the game. It's been around this guy, man. It's the experience that he's been through, that he's seen, and, coaching and teaching me and making my eyes see it's more than the fire service. I just can't. I just love this guy.
Yeah. Knowing the story with you and your life story and involvement with him and how you got in the fire department, I think that right there of what we see in the screen right now of you and him together is a prime example of the impact you can have by doing the right thing, of letting that young kid see the fire truck and then embracing them and being that example to try to guide him through when he decides to join the fire service, of doing the right thing. But why don't you move past the volunteer of Foul River, which you've been there the whole time, and work through your career of how your career progressed through different departments. Because like I said, that's going to, in my opinion, really going to play into this discussion we're going to have today. We get into some standards and operations.
All right. So while in Fire River, I joined a little small department, career department. It's called Pritchard. I spent 2 years in Pritchard. And we have the same amount of manpower, about 6 guys a shift, which was still, that's 3 engines with 2 people showing up on a house fire. So, excuse me. So with that, I mean, obviously manpower plays a huge role in my career, because it's you're dropping 6 guys, you're dropping 3 guys. And that's, to me, like what I'm working on now is a Mayday policy. And that plays a huge role in my vision, because if a Mayday comes out, if I go down in a fire, I don't have a designated RIT team. I don't have anybody that's standing outside to listen to that radio to, okay, look, Mayday got called, go in and go get them. I don't have that. I don't have that option. Now I'm just working on a better solution to avoid to having that and bringing more manpower. So I spent 2 years there. I'm still working part-time there. I work part-time in a little smaller department. Down here where I'm at now is Bayou, and that's another manpower issue. They have 1 person per truck, and that's all that covers, their area, which another reason plays a huge role in manpower. To where in Mobile, like I said, we have a designated guy for RIT. We have people standing outside, listen to the radio, listen to, the traffic. So I think, to me, manpower plays a huge role. And it's honestly, I mean, we can't fix it. We can fix it, but it takes a lot, because nobody is really involved in the fire service like they used to be.
Yeah, and then you had a little stint at a different department, and the reason I want to bring that up is same thing. They have down in Gulf Shores, they have more people than you have at the places you're still working part-time, but it's still an issue because they don't have the numbers you have in the city in Mobile and all that. But they have that better ability, just knowing their system, of that automatic aid where they are dealing with it proactively. They have a system in place getting those people coming automatically versus calling mutual aid and all that. So different ways to deal with it. And like I said, I wanted you to kind of go through that route so everyone understands, as we talk about some of this, your background, and you do have a very good understanding of not just our staffing, but dealing with that much, much lower limited staffing. So the biggest thing coming to that for me, knowing you, is standards. How do you take from Mobile, where we have people, and you go to the smaller departments and you still uphold, because I know you, and I know that there's not an ability for you to lower the standard of what you believe is acceptable from an operational standpoint, and still find your ways to achieve it. I mean, it's achievable. It just has to be done differently. And that's what most of America is going to be dealing with. We complain about our staffing, that we don't have a lot. We still get a lot of people, especially in the area of the city we work, very, very quickly. We just complain that we ride with 3 because we're used to riding with 4. Now you go into a different world when you leave the city, where you're dealing with, depending on where you're at, 2 people, 1 person. The volunteers, you don't know how many you're going to get. And I know you don't allow yourself to accept a different level of performance as your standard of what is acceptable for the citizens to receive as a service from whatever department you're working at or volunteering with that day. So how have you gone about finding your ways to still uphold that same standard? You just have to go about it differently because of your manpower.
Just got to work. We have meetings, we have trainings, just like we do, at work. I bring that down here to departments and I'm like, hey man, look, at the end of the day, the fire's still the same. Whether you volunteer or whether you pay, it doesn't matter. You have one chance. You can fuck up in training all day long. This is your chance. But when that tone drops, when the fire hits, you can't fail. You cannot fail. Which leads, fire's been picking up down here recently, where they're coming in the middle of the night. I had one here recently where it's a regular house. She's a regular. We get called out for a house on fire. So I'm at home. So I gear up. I head down there. Address looks familiar. And I get there. I was like, hey, this lady bedroom's in the back. I was like, okay. So I pull up. I go on scene. Told dispatch what I had. And then I see the elderly lady comes out. The weight off my shoulders, it lifted because I see her. So I'm like, all right, so now my tactics changes. She's out. I don't have the mindset of nobody else inside because she was the only one inside at the time. So I told the arriving engine, I said, hey, let's get punched in the mouth with a deck gun, and then we'll get stretched in because the back half was fully involved at the time. So once they arrive, we did that, and we put the fire out. But manpower plays a huge role in fire attack.
How hard has it been for you? Like you said, you tried to bring our mentality and the things we do in the city down there. When you do those trainings, because I know the area, I know what you guys do when you guys get the different departments together to do some training together. You have to find a way to still adapt because the way we train in the city is still around our staffing. If we have to stretch along, we're just going to put a lot of people on that line. We're going to get a lot of things done all at the same time that you're trying to achieve, but they can't be all simultaneous for you. They have to be in sequential order. This is going down, then this is going down, where we're doing everything all at the same time. You look at the last bad hoarding fire we had lines going through the front door, trucks going through the back door, other engines going through the windows just to get in and get this place searched. And none of that was sequential. It was all at the exact same time occurring. And we all arrived at the same time with that much staffing to allow that. So when you go to do that training, how are you finding the ways to do the training where you're not taking Mobile tactics, or for a different area of the country, the city tactics, the bigger city tactics that do utilize their staffing, and trying to teach guys how to get the job done with less people and how they're going to prioritize the order they're going to do things? Or like you said, maybe we have to hit it with a deck gun or a 2.5 and get this thing controllable by the amount of people we have, where in Mobile, that fire, we probably would have just stretched a line on it and put a lot of people inside making that line move while searches are getting done. So how have you gone about doing that to where you're able to separate your mindset of a third of your life as dealt with this manpower we have and how we operate, and find ways to train people to do what we're doing, but get it to where not only you're changing your mindset, but they're also understanding the mindset of we have to do things different. We can't do what we see on the news or what we're hearing is happening in Mobile.
Trust and experience. With me, since me being in Foul River, I know who's coming my next department. So for us just talking, just like we're doing now, they know my expectation. I know theirs when I respond in their area. So it just comes with trust and experience. That fire, I had Bryson on the truck. So he knew, hey, I said hit it with the deck gun. We hit it with the deck gun, and then we extricate or we move, pull the line, and we go in afterwards. So it just comes with experience.
And I think, again, I know the area. You guys also have the benefit of a lot of experience running a few of your fire departments that you guys all run together with. I mean, your chief, you introduced him earlier. He retired out of New York City. Theodore, you guys run with them a lot. Their chief retired from Mobile. Down in the Bayou, their chief retired from Mobile. So you do have guys that had that bigger city experience, have a lot of experience to offer you guys. And then it's just figuring out how to do what they did in their careers and adapt it down to your staffing. And to me, that's the hardest part for you guys, is you guys have so much resource, whether people realize it or not, available to you through the chiefs of those departments and the amount of experience they have. You guys just got to take what their experience is and find that way to adapt it to your staffing. But you also do have the benefit of those chiefs show up at fires and you have a lot of experience watching it, giving you that confidence. But so spinning off of that, keeping it in the training mode, this weekend we just finished up the South Alabama Firefighter Hot Weekend, which is one of all of our favorite weekends of the guys that started it. And it birthed a lot of things. I mean, that class is what gave creation to what is now the National Firefighters Training Foundation and all that. It started right there, and it started at the kitchen table at Central Fire Station in Mobile, Alabama, just coming up with an idea of how do we get training local between three of us, just having a conversation. It became a dream. It became a reality because Fairhope said yes and gave us the opportunity to host it. And it's built into something everybody looks forward to. So you've come pretty far from that 16-year-old kid that won all that long ago to the things you've got to be a part of, and the experiences you've had from what you've got to do with that class. We'll talk about. Last year was your first year being an FDIC, on that instructor side, being part of the hot class, from the engine hot class, and going from something that was just an idea and you watched it come to fruition like we all did and be a part of it. There's a lot of pride in what it's become, but the opportunities it's given to you, this weekend, you spent all weekend with Jim McCormick learning how he does live fire. I mean, some of us were more in the operational side of the drills, and you, Stallings, a few of you were literally just on the live burn side with him, from how he sets the burn sets to how he's controlling the conditions and all that. The year before you were with Bob Pressler. You were getting learned from guys like him, to Ray McCormack and Steve Robertson that we've had. Todd's been there every year, but it's brought you so many opportunities. What have you been able to take from that, and how do you find ways to take that not just to Mobile, but down to those smaller departments you work in?
This weekend, man. It's the opportunity, the soaking the knowledge, not thinking you know everything because you don't, and having Jim come down and the amount of experience that he has, he's seen, and he's been a part of. I mean, he legit got the discipline fire. So I always wanted to know how to actually burn, because down here, I was the burn guy, especially at Theodore, right? And we throw like 3 or 4 pallets on. We just get as hot as we can. It's cool. All right, now y'all go and stretch in. Oh, it's super hot, but actually knowing and actually doing it right means a lot, because now I can bring that to Theodore. I'm like, hey, look, let's get the smoke. I know how to build that. I know how to maintain this condition. We're not burning the students. We're not making the students like, man, I'm done with the fire service. The fire service is just too hot, but just coaching them and mentoring that it's okay. We're good. I'm inside. I'm controlling everything to make their mind more clear and make them more involved in the fire service. Than it's extremely hot, and this is not every fire, but so that was good.
Yeah, and like I said, it's brought you a bunch of opportunities that not everyone gets access to. I mean, to being an FDIC, you're going to get to go again this year, next month, and all that. It's a lot to take back. And just knowing you, I know for a fact the impact it's had on some fires. And anyone that's heard me talk has heard the story of that fire, but that you went to a conference, we had a fire that didn't go well, and things transpired, the dominoes stacked up and fell, and kind of that link to break that chain of dominoes falling was discipline on your part. And us coming back to the firehouse and me going, Rico, what made you stay there? 3-year creep. I'd have been trying to creep in that house, and you stayed on that front porch where you were told to. And it was like, man, what made you stay there? And at first you were like, oh, well, you told me to. And I'm like, yeah, okay. I know better than that. What really made you stay there? At that conference, Clyde Gordon said he calls the backup line interior RIT because it changes your mindset. And the fact that in the moment you followed that, there's a lot of opportunity by getting outside of your bubble sometimes to go learn from somebody else and take it back, especially if you can have the discipline to apply it and find ways to apply it in your world, and also to evaluate it. Not everything needs to be done in your world. It might work somewhere else and not for you, but you found a way to take it back, and in the moment at a fire, a few things from trainings you've been to that weren't inside of our bubble, our cocoon of the Mobile Fire Department, that you took advantage and learned it and applied it at a fire, and it changed the day. From the discipline to stay there to the fact that you opened the line without being told because you recognized conditions and you saw what was happening, and you stopped that vent point ignition from continuing or getting worse and made it to where we got everybody out. So that's a big part of it too, is that what you said, that humility to realize you don't know everything, that you might get a lot of experience where you work for certain people, but there's still more to learn. And getting outside your bubble, it might just be that somebody says it differently. They word it different to where it makes sense and it changes the way you operate. Clyde calling it, man, I call the backup line interior RIT. So it changes your mindset of having a line, and you're not trying to race and get the fire because you want to get the nozzle time. But I'm interior RIT. My job's just to protect these guys' way out. And it played out in a fire for us. But also, before we move into a fire, you are on the board of the National Firefighters Training Foundation, what that class created and what it's building. From a very, very small town department is what it started. You've been through a lot of steps to get to where you've been, because you still work for a lot of fire departments between part-time volunteer and your career job in Mobile. What does that mean to you, and to be able to take something that, not to be on the board of it, but to be a part of the experiences you've got to get because you've been a part of these classes? You've been a part of that class in Fairhope. You've been a part of the FDIC hands-on class. You've got to be a part of classes in Pensacola Beach for county fire tactics, and get to meet all these people you've learned from. And now you get to be a part of giving back, being a part of the organization that's going to take opportunities that some people can't just get those opportunities simply because they're not close to them and they can't afford to fly, go somewhere, pay for a class, get off of work, get a hotel, do all this. And now coming full circle to a guy who that conference we just talked about changed the game at one of our fires. The guy running the conference heard you wanted to go and just gave you a free ticket to it because he thought it was, important that a young kid that just really wanted to go made it there. So he gave you a free ticket. To be able to return that favor, and now you're doing that for other people. You're a part of bringing training to different areas of the country, making sure it is either free or at least affordable, and it's local to the masses of the fire service as this organization grows. But so far to your local area here in the Mobile region and across the state, that you've been a big part of making that available to people when it has impacted you the way it has, to where it's played out at different fires you've been to.
Well, it starts with opportunity, giving other people the opportunities, just like you gave me. Multiple people gave me the opportunity to do what I do. I had a lot of people coming to me, reach out that they couldn't go. So that's where the topics came from, the kitchen table, as far as making the foundation or making classes where it's, free or less affordable for people to show up, to have the opportunity that I have now. More of, basically being a student of the game is the key part. Yes, I am an instructor, but I'm still a student mindset, because like I said, I don't know everything. I still don't know everything. It's things out there that I'm sure he still haven't told me. He still haven't taught me that I want to learn, and that's to me the biggest part of the fire service is you have a lot of people that's, big headed and they think they know everything, but having the people that's, okay, let's step back. I don't know everything. That was new. Let me learn more about that. Let me be a student, and I don't see a lot of that. I'm pretty blessed of the outcome of this weekend. And hopefully they bring more next year. To me, that means a lot, having them seeing a younger guy, out there in the burn room, to make them or maybe motivates them to, well, I guess I need to step up and do more.
Yeah, and I think the biggest part for me is, and it's the instructors I like to be around, they have that mentality. They're always trying to learn. You look at every instructor that was there that week, that's part of that FDIC hot class we're a part of, and that most of us associate with. They're all still looking to learn. Even retired guys, they are looking to learn. And they go into every weekend, and if you talk to them, they're going to learn as much from the class as they're going to give. Like for us, we're going to learn from the students as we watch them, the people going through the burn building. Maybe they have a different way they did it. We haven't seen it. Tell us. We're going to look at it. But also what we learn from the different instructors. Having Jim McCormick this weekend, we all learned a ton. Bob Pressler last year, we learned a ton. Ray and Steve, I've been teaching with them for years, and I'm still going to learn from them every time. And it's that open-mindedness you're talking about, that humility of what can I still learn, that takes things a lot further when you go to these, that you're going to develop more and increase your knowledge, your abilities when you go back to work. But I want to get into a different fire you recently had, and it plays into that staffing. But you guys had a grab not too long ago, and in the Bayou, where you're talking about they're riding one-man companies, it's relying on mutual aid to get the people there, to deal with the problem. And like I said, can't do things as on top of each other as we do. Have to do that more sequentially than all at once like we do. And that was something you guys had to deal with. And then you're having to get somebody out and try to make that rescue. So it is achievable with the absolute minimal staffing, because that's what that is. If you're getting the people you need through, mutual aid, automatic aid, whatever you're doing, that's in the forefront. You're getting that handled up front. You're not waiting. That discussion happened long before the fire. You guys train together so that you can operate in the same manner and know each other's skills and abilities in the forefront. All that's done beforehand so it can play out. And that day it played out. You guys got the guy out. So why don't you walk everybody through that fire and how staffing occurred, what you guys faced, how you were able to get the grab made, get everything done, and like I said, how staffing impacted it, because you still got the job done. We like to talk about staffing. It does hinder us. There's no way around it. But the end of the day, like we started this conversation about, is where your standards are, don't change because you're at this volunteer department or this career department that's only got 6 people total, or wherever you're working, because you're involved in so many places, that you're able to achieve the same outcome even with the less staffing by a long shot. I mean, you guys probably had less than half the people you would have had at work with us on that fire ground, and you guys still had the outcome that you're looking for.
Right. So we had a fire. We got paged out of a working fire, confirming traffic. Right. So right now we have 2 departments coming. My response time is probably about 15 to 20 minutes going code there. Bayou engine was on scene for about 3 minutes. So I get on scene. Like I said, Bayou had 2 people there. One of their guys is brand new. He was actually in the class this weekend. So when I arrive, I go up strictly up to where the Bayou guys was, and he was like, "Hey, he's inside this room." He was a known regular, so everybody knew where the bedroom was. So I put my face piece on, my helmet. I dived in a window. Right, Bayou's new guy pulled him off the hospital bed to the window. He was like, "Hey man, I need your help." I said, "Okay." So he grabbed me a leg. He said, "Grab this leg." I was like, "All right." Well, we grabbed the leg. This guy was about 300 plus pounds. All right. So we tried the first attempt, failed. So we had to regroup. I said, "Okay, let's pull him back a little bit. Let's regroup the head. Let's go up upper body. Let's try to move him out." So we tried that. We failed. I was like, "Okay, that's cool." So the new guy goes out. It's just me inside. The Bayou guy was spraying up water, make sure the room didn't flash. So he was just protecting us with water, right? So the new guy hopped out. Another guy hops in. So I said, "All right, let's try it. You're bigger. It's just me and you. Let's try to up him out, right?" Try it again. Fail. So Chief Caridio, he comes up. He was like, "Hey man, I found the strap in the yard. Let's use this." I said, "Okay, let's do it." So we use it. I put the strap up under his lower back and then over his arms. And by that time, we poured him out. We poured him out over the arms, and then that's how we got him out the window. But just not giving up just because it got hot, or we didn't have any other options. Now looking back, after we got him out, we initially did CPR. He was breathing. Put him on the ambulance. They went on to the hospital. He later died at the hospital. But looking back, and I always ask, I went down the other day and just talked about it, actually. And I was like, man, looking back at the tools, I had 2 ambulances on scene where I could have used a backboard or a scoop stretcher and used that. I had 3 fire trucks on scene looking back, I could have used a ladder to pull them out. Just looking at different ways, but like Mika said, man, at that mindset or at that time, you don't think about stuff like that. Your main mission is getting the victim out of the window. So that would hurt me the most, because like all the different types of trainings I went to, and we talked about different ways of getting victims out, that I could have used. And at that minute, at that moment, I wasn't thinking about it. My main mission was just getting the victim out to, perform CPR, get them to the hospital, for continuous care. But so there's their grab.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, the humility to go back and look at it and see what could have been done better. The outcome was the best you could get. You know what I mean? That's the situation he was in. You guys got him out, got him breathing and all that. You gave him every chance he could, but
Right.
It took a commitment to a standard to get him out. And when you guys got him out, how many people do you think you had on scene?
When we got him out, we had 5 people on scene.
5 people on the whole scene.
5 people on scene.
So it took a commitment to, hey, the most important thing we do here is search. And we know we've got somebody, and it took a commitment to that. You had somebody with water control in the room, but you guys had to use your staffing to commit just to that. And that's a break from what you do in the city, because we would have had engines doing the line and we had the trucks doing that search and working for it at the same time. And it would have been, you had to do more of a strict commitment to one task. And that takes a focus on what the mission is. And you guys committed to it. I said, at the end of the day, your outcome was the best you could offer. And you guys got that done. But it took a commitment in multiple ways. One, the commitment was the search, was getting him, and a commitment to not give up because it got hard. I mean, end of the day, like I said, the result is you got him out. That's the best result we can ask for, is we got him out. You got him out, you got him breathing. That's what we're looking for. You guys got that done. Then you go back there and you're talking to the guys, okay, what about next time? How can we do this? That's just playing into that standard of how do we always offer something better? How do we get better? And that's, to me, what it all comes down to, because that mindset is what's going to make you better at the next fire. The next time somebody's trapped, is to have not just been successful and sat back. Now I can ease up. I got the guy out. We did great. Pat yourself on the back. Was to go back and say, what could we have done better? What could have went better? What if we had done this? And have those discussions. And maybe you realize everything you did was probably the best it could have been. Or maybe you realize, what if we could have tried this? Next time we could do this. And then you're willing to train on it. But to me, being someone that strongly believes in training, a lot of your outcomes at fires have been due to that mental standard you have that's committed to training. You train a lot at work. We all know that. You train with all your volunteer department, the smaller paid departments you work for. It's constantly training. You've been to the Alabama Smoke Diver program, which isn't something that's required to. You just put yourself through that because you wanted to see if you could do it. You wanted to learn what they're offering in a class that's really all about search and then firefighter rescue. You go to all these conferences to try to pick up little nuggets you can. It's that standard that's going to, at the end of the day, play out with that result you were looking for, or that result we had that, New Year's morning. So to me, that's what it's all about. And that's what I wanted to talk about today, because it all played out through that conversation. It all came back to that same thing that I know about you, because I work with you and I know you so well, is that mental standard you have for yourself that you don't only apply to yourself. I know when I see you at work, you apply that same standard you have for yourself to everyone around you. When you go to Pritchard on your off days, I know you're applying that same standard, because I hear the conversations when you come back and you talk about calls you had, because other guys in our firehouse happen to work there part-time too. When you have calls in Foul River and you come tell us about it, I can tell that standard is playing out. But the hard part, when you spend a third of your life with us and our staffing and our structure and all that, is how you apply it there. And again, me just knowing you has been through training, the training you guys do together and all that kind of stuff. So we'll close it out here in a minute, but I know we'll both be at FDIC next month. Always a fun time up there. But why don't you give everybody listening your final comment, your final thoughts when it comes to whatever you want to talk about that we've talked about today?
Never give up. Keep striving. Don't be. What's the word I'm looking for? Don't be set in your ways. It's numerous opportunities out there to be better and do better. You got not only the foundation, not only the hot weekend. You have CFT, you have FDIC. It's numerous small conferences out there that you can be a student of the game and learn from these people to exceed in your fire career. Shoot, I just threw a blank. I just talked to Jeremy about it this weekend. I threw a blank. That's crazy.
All right. Well, my final thought will be, and I use Rico as an example in a lot of classes when I teach about this, is that willingness to learn from outside your bubble, like he's talking about. It did play out at Fires for us, where we were the RIT team, and I was on the beneficial end of that because I was having to be further in the building than he was, and his going outside of his circle and taking it back changed the game on that. But that willingness to have your own standard, regardless of what your department standard, your state certification agency standard is, that you have a standard, whether it's above it doesn't have to just be that minimum requirement. You can hold yourself a lot more accountable than that. And there's nothing wrong with the fact you're pushing yourself that hard and pushing the people around you to uphold a higher standard. For us, it's pretty easy because it's the culture of our firehouse. That standard's been there for long before us, and it was passed down, so it's easy. That's harder to do in a smaller department or a newer department. You have to create that standard, but there's nothing wrong with having that high set standard and never allowing it to be brought down or anything like that. You're constantly pushing for it, and it is going to play out one day. It might not be today, it might not be tomorrow, but you might be in that situation where you are being disciplined. You do know when to open a line, and it gets guys out. It might be where you do have the discipline and you have trained on it, and you're able to get a larger person out of a window in that situation with absolute minimum manpower. And all that comes from having a standard that you're constantly pushing yourself towards, because it's one thing to have a standard. It's completely different to say that versus actually have it and hold yourself accountable to it and do the training and constantly work to make sure you yourself are meeting that standard before you're pushing it upon other people, and then to bring those people with you. So that's my final thoughts on it. You come up with what you forgot?
Nope.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time. Appreciate everybody listening. We'll be back next month.
Fire Facilities manufactures steel live fire training towers, customized to meet your training needs. Check us out at FDIC or learn more at firefacilities.com.
In firefighting and public safety, reliability is key. For over 20 years, the Fire Store has equipped first responders with trusted gear featuring brands like MSA Carnes for helmets and Seek for thermal imaging cameras. Stay prepared. Visit the Fire Store